potatoes, nothing fancy in a sauce. I don't want no eggs and tomatoes, though I'm hungry as a horse. I want sweetness to keep me satisfied. I want my big sugar daddy with my little honey on the side. I don't want no beans or gum.
Hello, it's Dana Gillespie here, globe-trotting with Gillespie. Actually, it's a little bit different today because we are here in the version of the Temple of Art and Music. It's called Tam Fusion. It's a restaurant, come on in, and it's in the Mercato Mayfair, which is in Mayfair, just off Oxford Street, so we're right in the heart of London, and we're going to meet the 2-star Michelin chef, John Burton Race, and he's a whiz at the cooking, and I'm going to be introducing him, and we're going to be talking about something very British, because he and I are both quite British. So here we are, and there he is. There is John Burton Race.
In the flesh. Hello,
In
Dana.
the flesh.
Hello.
Hi there, dear
Hello.
boy.
Hello.
Now we're here because obviously we're going to talk about food with John, but they do breakfasts at this place, Tam Fusion. Tam, of course, stands for Temple of Art and Music.
And we put 100% of all the profits back into music.
That's actually it's 108% because it's a holy number in India.
Okay, let's go for that then.
I mean, you've been around cooking for years and
Yeah.
years, and lots of people know you, and I'm always not amazed, but so many people go, I know him. But we're specifically here.
Talking about those.
We know what this is, but do you know the amount of places where I've bought them down, let's say the Portobello Road, and I
Yeah.
ask a stallholder, how much is this? And he might say £2 because he hasn't a clue what it is.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone what it is?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, we had the first codlers were made by Royal Worcester in 1880.
Yeah, here's the box. Here's the box.
I'm not sure if these are 1880, but that's
No,
when
probably not.
That's when they made the first codler pot like this. They're absolutely beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
Now, it's a bit like the creme brulee. The Europeans, i.e. the French, it's always the French, say they had it first.
Yeah.
The British say we had it first, and I'm sure if you speak to a Spaniard, he'd say, yes, well, we had them 2 years before you. It's a bit like the creme brulee. Burnt caramel custard, creme catalane, creme brulee, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, I love these because, one, they look lovely, especially these old antique ones.
Yeah.
And two, if you think about it, when, as a chef, you're told to make a poached egg by putting some water, a little vinegar in a pan, salt or no salt, depends which chef you're listening to, and then you make a whirlpool in the water, and then you crack your egg and drop it in, and it goes round, 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 and it whips the egg whites round the egg yolk, and that's what we call a poached egg nowadays. But really, if you want a lovely poached egg, the only way to do it is to not let it have contact with the water,
Yeah.
because the water inevitably will get in. Have you noticed at home before if you didn't have a codlet pot, you could whip that up. Have you noticed you take the egg out and there's a load of water in the spoon and you don't know what to do with it, and you dry it on a cloth, and then you put it down on your toast, it still leaks out water all
Yeah.
over the toast. That never happens with a codler. And the other thing I love about this is, if you're a greedy bugger like me, you can put all sorts of toppings on it.
Yeah, well, of course, that's the double size, but we have here the single size, and I always think it's very important
I think they look better.
that you get
They're
ones...
more ladylike. You should have these.
No, I like the double size, you can get more stuff in it. However, it's good to have different designs, because let's say, here's a nice one with sort of flowers and things.
Yeah.
Let's say you're making breakfast for 6 people and somebody wants something like this and somebody wants something like that. You've got to have different designs so you can remember who's got what.
Well, for the chef, that's a good idea, because if you can get two the same, you could say, right, well, I've got my beef truffle, and foie gras sauce topping on that codler, on that design, and then we can go through here and we can do smoked salmon, chives, and a lovely fish fumet with a bit of noix pâte, you know, the dry vermouth on there. We can do the classic cheese sauce in this one.
Which is the one I'm hoping to get in a little while.
Not happening. With lardons of Wiltshire bacon.
Yeah.
And anyway, someone told me that you love goat's cheese.
I do like goat's cheese.
So we don't need, because goat's cheese is quite creamy, on this one, we could put little dice of goat's cheese just before it's ready to serve, and then it'll melt a little bit on top.
You don't put the cheese, I would often put a bit underneath and then I put it on top.
I suppose you could do. The only thing I'd say about that is, because of the fat content, won't that leak through the egg? You don't mind that?
I don't mind
It's all
that.
going in, isn't
But
it?
one tip that my mother always told me is that whatever you do, you must oily round the inside, either with butter or, you know, because
Yeah.
it's a bastard, sorry for swearing, it's a bastard to wash afterwards.
I know. So basically, all the recipes I've told you about, I use butter,
Yeah.
but for goat cheese, I always use a little bit of olive oil.
Right, just to sort of so it doesn't stick.
Yeah.
And then do you put it in the boiling water?
Okay, so
how
then I
far-
get the pan,
Yeah.
put the pan, and it's about like that book of yours.
Yeah.
It's about halfway up the codler, but I get the water boiling first, and I put them in at a boil,
Yeah.
and then I turn them down to virtually off, and then I put a lid, and every minute or two I have a look to see where we are, because some people like their eggs really well cooked. Not sure about that, but it's a good, having a codler, you can gauge exactly how the yolk's going to be by peering in.
So it basically does take a bit longer than, let's say, doing a boiled egg.
It
because
does.
It's got to get through the porcelain.
It does, but look how, excuse me, look how pretty this is. I can see children at home arguing about what pattern they're going to have. Do you know, I remember I had a sister, well, I had two sisters, and we had our own mugs. And
Yeah.
there's no way in the world you're going to give up your mug.
Oh, I had the same
breakfast.
thing.
And it could be the same with the codler. No
Yeah.
way, the blackberries are mine.
Right, and this has got sort of birds on it. And I've got one that I should have bought in today because it is, of course, the Jubilee weekend here in London where the whole world has gone bonkers.
And no doubt, because it's you, it'd have a gold top.
I wish. No, but I've got one at home that's got a sort of Jubilee thing, which I must go back and have a look at it.
That must be worth a lot of money.
I don't know. I bought it as usual for a couple of quid down the Portobello Road,
Lucky.
but I think it's from the last 50 years Jubilee, and I just feel the nation should be educated in the joys of coddled eggs.
And we are in Britain. We're one of the only countries, well, we're not in Europe now, but one of the only countries on the edge of Europe, let's say, that's got a monarchy. So why can't we be different? Why can't we bring back the codler and make it British? These codlers are as British as Aston Martin.
Well, who was it that said, if you want to eat well in Britain, you've got to have breakfast 3 times a day?
Absolutely.
Was it Oscar Wilde or Winston Churchill or somebody like that?
I'll change that to a big fat wallet.
But it's true. If you get your breakfasts right, and what do they also say? You have breakfast with a lover, lunch with a friend, and dinner with an enemy, because if you eat too much at night, you won't sleep too well.
No.
So we're here to make breakfast looking really good, actually.
Yeah,
And,
well, I'm looking forward to tasting it too.
So am I. So, well, thank you for sitting. Well, you're not just doing coddled eggs this morning, because there's lots of other things on your menu as well.
Absolutely.
But I just thought it'd be nice to tell everyone about coddled eggs. And I can't wait to eat mine. And you're going to make us, was it your son Pip who's in the kitchen?
My son Pip will make them. If they're no, it's
Pip, just
always
come and say hello.
Pip, come and say hello.
Quickly, just come and say quickly hello. We're trying to get his son. Oh, he's bringing a coddler over. He's busy in the kitchen. Well, of course, we're upstairs here in this amazing place that it was a church.
Yes.
I mean, I assume it's deconsecrated by
It
now.
is deconsecrated.
And downstairs is various food courts. But up here, the food is on a much higher level because we've got you here.
Well, yeah, and we're the only restaurant in the building. Most people get food. It's a bit like a market stall anyway. You get
Fast
food on the
food.
hoof.
Yeah.
fast food on the hoof, and you take it around. You can sit downstairs and eat it. And I think possibly that might be a great idea if you've got very limited time for lunch. But, you know, I always say I'd rather have one plate of good food than 2 plates of very bad food. So, you know, that's why we sell, at lunchtime, we sell small plates. And that seems to be starting to work for us.
All right. Well, your son seems to be doing something, because the kitchen area is behind. That's where you're going to be
That's right.
all day, because I guess a few people will turn up. Well, they will, no, more than a few people. I've got my musicians for a start. 'Cause
Well, exactly. I
We're
think the
playing
music
downstairs.
on Sundays goes down really, really well. And because we've got music downstairs, whoever's playing always announce that we're here. Remember, we're a new restaurant, and that always works. They send the traffic from upstairs to here, and of course, you can still hear the music really clearly whilst you're having a lovely Sunday lunch.
Maybe-
And it really is starting to work.
Maybe we should go with the camera and see Pip, who's kind of, he seems to be lost in the kitchen. Do you want to go into the kitchen and see how the kitchen is?
Absolutely, I think that's a good idea.
Come on, come with us, because we're going to see the workers. This is an amazing place. I mean, it's not like any other place, is
No,
it,
it
John?
is. It's fabulous. I mean, I must have the only little kitchen with that beautiful stained glass window. Can you see that through
Yes.
the
Look
vine?
at that. Look at that. Well, let's come into the kitchen. And of course, there's real vines growing everywhere.
That's my vine.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's
that's
got
mine.
a.
It's called Mayhem.
Well, it is sometimes can be mayhem. My father always said chefs are prone to kind of going manic, but we've all seen other chefs
Yeah,
going
just.
crazy. Look how nice,
They're
all the
just
nice
ready.
kind of.
You put the lid on,
Everything
they
is
carry on
very
cooking.
nicely done in here. It's beautifully
You've done a really lovely
So here
job.
we are
Is that goat cheese on
into
that
the
already?
kitchen area. So you can see father and son
There's a goat
is
cheese on
doing
there already.
something.
Yeah.
I think the camera should just go in
Fantastic.
and have a little look. Ooh, there's the codlers.
So here are the codder legs. Now these two, Pip's just going to top these with a little bit of smoked salmon, and then this is a little sauce. You won't have this because it's got chives in it.
No.
And so we just warm the sauce. This is a little fish fumet with cream, chives and dry vermouth. And that goes down on top of the eggs.
Well,
That's just plain goat cheese.
And then it's going back, it's having its lid put on and it
Yeah.
goes back in.
That's exactly
I think
right.
we're going to leave the mayhem of the kitchen, and of course they're making soldiers, because like with boiled eggs, you've got to dip your soldiers in. John, we're going to leave you.
Yes, well, Pip's done it all now. I'll
Pip,
bring them in.
He's
to you.
done all the work. Thank you for watching yet another episode of Globetrotting, and I'm now going to go and eat something. Here we got. Just tell us again what those are.
So that's a plain one. So
Yeah.
you just dip your soldiers into that one.
Did you put any salt or pepper in
Salt
there?
and
Just-
pepper, yeah.
Okay.
And this one was with smoked salmon, cream and chives. And this one's with a beef jus.
Right.
With foie gras and truffle. And of course yours is the goat cheese.
Marvellous.
I'm
We've
going to
got
have
us-
a beef one.
Right. Well, now this really is goodbye, because I think eating shouldn't be really filmed. But I've got to say that I'm not a big lover of breakfast in bed. I like to actually sit up and eat. But if, let's say, you're ill and an invalid, you bring one of these, and perhaps you're not ready, it stays hot till when you want it.
Absolutely right.
And it's the coolest way to have your breakfast.
And these are delicious.
Right. I'm dipping in. Goodbye.
No, I don't want no fish or curry. I don't want no caviar. I don't want no champagne or oysters. Don't want nothing from the bar. I want sweetness to keep me satisfied.